If there's one word a gardener does not want to hear, it's Japanese beetles. So in this video, we're going to talk about Japanese beetles, or rather how to get rid of them. So what you're looking at behind me here is our grapevine, or I should say what is left of our grapevine. What happened to it is a result of the damage that Japanese beetles can do. Japanese beetles come in swarms, and they can basically defoliate a tree, a shrub, a vine, a plant within a matter of days. So although it looks like something that occurred over a long period of time, this can happen really fast. Over the last 3 years, I have been battling with Japanese beetles and adding first, second, third line of defense. And this year, we have collected an amazing amount of beetles, together with the other things that we are doing to try and combat the population. So I want to share today in this video 3 ways to get rid of Japanese beetles. So Japanese beetles were apparently introduced into the States by accident in the early 1900s. And I think they first arrived in North America, but don't quote me on that, as in like sort of the northeast coast. And since then they have spread. Here in Missouri, especially the area of Missouri that we're in, we get them quite badly. So the first thing that I started to do was to understand the life cycle of these beetles. And I couldn't understand to start with why I wasn't seeing baby beetles. I would only see adult beetles. So what happens is that when you're seeing them on the plants, you're seeing them in swarms of adults, you'll see pairs of adults. And as the weather cools off, they will actually drop to the ground, lay their eggs, and the eggs and larvae will actually overwinter in the ground and then start to emerge in early spring. So the first thing that you can do in the early spring is to treat your soil. Japanese beetles will apparently eat up to 400 different varieties of plants. Now, what's interesting in our garden is that they haven't attacked our tomatoes. They went after the peach tree, they've been on the beans, they've killed the grapevine as I showed you. But I did something to our tomatoes early spring, or at least the soil that our tomatoes are growing in. So I am pretty confident that the application I made has to do with why the beetles haven't been on these plants. So we have 3 60-foot rows of tomatoes here, and I grow a lot of tomatoes for putting up for the winter, for making sauces, pizza bases, tomato ketchup, all those kind of things. And our tomatoes are really important to us. So what I did early spring was I peeled back the weed barrier, the landscape fabric that we use before the plants were planted, and I applied this substance called milky spore. You can order it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below. And it's basically a natural bacteria that interrupts the life cycle of the grub so that it kills them in the larva stage and they don't actually emerge from the soil. You can actually sprinkle this all over your lawn because Japanese beetles will also live in your grass. You can sprinkle it on any soil, but I wanted to concentrate on these beds, particularly because I wanted to see how well it worked. And now that I'm pretty satisfied that it worked well, I will apply it next spring to other areas of the garden. The next thing that I did was I planted geraniums or pelargoniums in beds near the plants that I thought were going to get attacked. Now, I've sort of had mixed results here. So we've got geraniums planted here next to the grapevine, which got badly attacked. And then we've got geraniums planted here next to the kiwi vine that didn't get badly attacked. So I don't know what the deal with that is. However, I do know that at the time that the grapevine was under an attack, we didn't have the beetle traps up, which I'll show you next, because I'm wondering if the two things should have been done together. However, geraniums not only look beautiful in your garden, but the way that they work is that the leaves contain a toxin that will paralyze the Japanese beetles. So the idea is that the scent of the geraniums is something that beetles are attracted to. So essentially the geraniums behave as a trap crop. And when the beetles land on the geraniums and eat the leaves, they become paralyzed, which means then predators can eat them. Our chickens normally free range, and so they would go around and eat up any beetles. However, we've had a fox problem recently, so they haven't been out as much as I would like. Raccoons and other critters that visit your garden will also eat Japanese beetles. However, they do tend to dig up your lawn to get to them. So that's something that you can do. Like I say, I've had mixed results, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I have heard that it's the lighter color geraniums that Japanese beetles prefer, but they're all scented pretty much the same. So I'm not sure how much science is in that. So the three scents that Japanese beetles are attracted to are geraniums, roses, and then the third that I'm going to show you now. So the third scent that I believe this trap works on is it's a lure that has, it's a trap bag basically that has a lure on the top of it. And I think that is scented with a Japanese beetle pheromone. So what actually happens is that the beetles, you have to put these traps away from your garden, because the beetles will actually swarm to the scent in this trap, and they will slide down the side of the bag, and then they basically can't get out. I've had questions about the traps, where I get them from. I'll put them in our Amazon shop, but we also get them at the farm store. The other thing about the traps is that they don't attract other insects, so all your pollinators and some of the fly traps, like the ranch fly traps, I've found that if you put in apple cider vinegar or something to lure bugs, you end up catching all of the pollinators that you don't want to catch. These are specific for Japanese beetles, and that is all that I have found in the trap. But beware, it does draw them, so keep it away from your garden and empty them regularly, because as they start to amass, the smell is really bad.
It's a great looking pillow you got there. I mean, the bag's full. I think there's got to be, I don't know, 5 pounds of Japanese beetles right here. Can add it to your Japanese beetle collection.
So Jess at Sunshine Family Adventures basically empties the bag into another bag and puts them in the freezer to kill them, and then feeds it back to the chickens as snacks, which I thought I'd quite like to try.
Yeah, frozen beetles.
They look mainly dead. I dumped a load out the other day, and they all flew off. I should have filmed it.
Well, you could blend it, and it could be like a smoothie for the birds to sell that in the open market. In the black market, maybe, if they're illegal.
I mean, you could probably just sell it in the chicken market.
Fine dining. It's a step up.
Protein snack. Should we do the other one?
Yeah, let's go. I'll bring a bunch of rotten
You stink.
Get them on my hands. Oh yeah. Load them
Oh,
up.
that smells bad.
No dry heaving now.
Caleb, I gotta move. It's disgusting.
You must have been downwind. I didn't really smell it.
Oh, you're emptying them on the grass.
They're dead. Would the chickens like get sick if they ate all this?
Probably all at once.
They gorged all this?
So those are our 3 ways of combating Japanese beetles. To apply the milky spore in early spring, to set up trap crops, and of course get the lure traps. I hope this has been helpful. My plan is to try and eradicate Japanese beetles from our area of America. So follow these steps and do the same. Maybe we can get rid of them altogether. Have a good one. See you in the next one.